What we have in Thurrock, we have a Safeguarding Adults Board, which takes care of what some people would say are some of the more vulnerable people within society. Thurrock Police, and Essex Police in particular, have been keen to engage in the work of the Safeguarding Adult Board. Traditionally, this has been an area where people have been concerned with care homes, nursing homes and that sort of environment. But recent cases, particularly the Pilkington tragedy from last year, or the one that came up last year, has brought the police much more involved in this. And here we have an example of police officers, local PCSOs, local beat staff, joining in with the local authority and adult social care trainers to understand more about the world of vulnerable adults, to understand more of what we mean when we talk about adults who are particularly vulnerable, and to understand how they can work more closely with social care and some of the agencies to perhaps close some of the gaps and to just protect those people just that little bit more.
Is this a national scheme or is it an Essex scheme?
No, as far as we're aware in Essex, Thurrock is the only borough that's taken this up, and we are fortunate that the police here work so closely with the adult safeguarding team, and they've volunteered to put their officers through this training.
Without being too self-effacing, with your experience of 35 years, you know that you can act as the glue between the two organisations here.
Yeah, it does help, and it's always going to help when you come with a background with the police and the connections with the local police, plus working with the third sector and working with some of the other groups. But then that's why they asked me to do this job, so that I could create some of those links and some of those connections. But hopefully, once police officers start to understand what the issues are, wants to get involved in the training, then it should develop a momentum of its own. It shouldn't be reliant on personalities and contacts, but it's needed to start the process off.
What we're saying here is that there's this hidden world of vulnerable people with certain needs and difficulties who are at the moment being subjected to or exposed or potential victims of crime.
What we're talking about is the quality of life matters, and there are people who are not so vociferous. There are people who don't make a fuss, and some of those people are some of the more vulnerable. The elderly people, some elderly people don't like to make a fuss, don't want to be a nuisance. That doesn't mean your quality of life shouldn't be as good as anybody else's. Some people with difficulties, learning difficulties, don't complain. They put up with abuse on a bus because they think it's the norm. They shouldn't have to do that. What we're coming here is trying to inform the police that this may not be core crime to you, this may not be the sort of stuff that gets headlines, but actually when you come across it, and you do as police officers, there is a team at Thurrock that will deal with that. There is a vulnerable adults team, and there are people in adult social care that will pick up on those issues. So yeah, it's about quality of life, and it's about bringing a little bit of knowledge to the police officers, particularly for the protection of those more vulnerable groups in our society.